Okay, everybody, welcome back. Today is day 8, August the 6th, and what a day we had. There was no morning session, so I actually slept in for the first time in a week. Actually felt kind of nice to sleep in, but still to wake up, and I was looking forward for this one. Relays are always fun, let's face it. People love relays, but people like distance running too. And so we're going to cover all the events again as usual. And as usual, Frank, welcome, and maybe you can open up again with a few words on the program.
Okay, yeah, you're right. What a fantastic day. And my goodness, Italy, track and field, ranked second in the world table at the moment. What on earth?
Are you talking about me?
Yeah, what on earth have we been doing across there? Well, huge welcome to everybody once again. Those of you who are joining us for the first time, special welcome to you. I hope you're going to enjoy what's going to be laid before you today. Those who are coming back again, congratulations on your endurance this week. You're doing a fantastic job. And just to give you once again, forgive me for a bit of repetition here, because I'm having to do this each day just to make sure we understand the context. This is part of what we call European Athletics Coaches Association's Coaches Club. This is our club. It's grown initially belonging to EACA. Meant you had the privilege of looking at joining in with IFAC each year. We may have the odd newsletter going out there and so on, but that's in the distant past. Today, as was explained last night by Giacomo, we have social media. We have virtual coaches clubs as we have here today, and the exciting bit is just where the coaches club concept can take us now. Because here we are, over 500 persons registered for this. We know now that we will have an area coaches club on the occasion of Belgrade coming through for the world indoors. We will have one certainly in Eugene. Every time there's a world championships, or hopefully, certainly in Europe, a European championships, we will have a coaches club. So this, and why is that important? Because listen, folks, this is the first time really we've been able to pull so many people together and learn how to communicate better together as coaches. And I see this not as when we get to Sunday night, this isn't the end of anything. It's actually the start of a fantastic journey in the whole concept of area coaches associations. And we'd like to think, since we were the first across the line anyway, back in 1960, I don't remember that, by the way, but my father told me about it. Back in 1960 was the start of the EACA. I'd like to think we're going to continue leading, but of course we'll be challenged by NACATFCA and other areas to see just what we can do with this new concept of virtual coaches club. But without any further ado, let's come back to the maestro of this week, who's been leading us brilliantly through every day. Over to you, Jimson.
Great, thanks, Frank, for the kind words. So I'm Jimson Lee with speedendurance.com, and I think this has been a wonderful few days of track and field. I've gotten a lot of emails from people asking me if it's going to continue after, and the answer is yes, we will continue. Probably not every day, but we will continue on a scheduled basis. We have your emails, and we'll let you know. We do all the social media as well on Facebook and Twitter, so be sure to watch out for that. So without further ado, let's start to talk about the 4x1 sprints, both men's and women, since that's just finished and the world's still buzzing. So I'm going to call on two of our sprint resident experts. We have Christine and we have Laura. So just a quick intro for those who don't know. Christine Harrison-Bloomfield is a former TeamGB national team athlete, now high performance sprints coach, who's worked with Olympic gold medalist Christine Ohurugu. So welcome back, Christine, again. Let's start with the women's 4x1. Great to see TeamGB win the bronze, but what are your overall thoughts and what could have improved, and anything else you want to add? Christine is here, isn't she? I thought I saw her here. Christine, yes, she's here. Connecting, having issues connecting. Okay, while we're waiting for Christine, I also want to introduce another panelist, Laura Turner-Alleyne. She's also another former TeamGB former sprinter, competed in Beijing 2008 in the 100-meter and 4x1 relay. She's now the West London track and field lead coach sprints, hurdles, and combined events. Laura, welcome back from yesterday.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back.
No, you're welcome. So while waiting for Christine to connect, your thoughts on the women's 4x1 relay first.
Yeah, I can see Christine's been saying connecting to audio for a while, so I don't know if she's having problems getting on, but yeah, she's trying to get there. Did you say women first? Or
yeah, so women first. Oh, it was women over first.
Yeah, so from a GB perspective, it was a bit of edge of your seat stuff. We had a couple of really stretched changes. It looked like, and I don't know if they did, but it certainly looked like they stretched the changeover, the check marks from the heat run yesterday, because the first one was as close as it can be, I think, to the end of the zone. But that being said, Jamaica and USA still ran quicker than the UK's time from the heat. So, you know, the Jamaican and USA team did a really, really good job today. We were talking a bit about the USA team yesterday, men's team. I don't know if there's a difference on the women's side, but they seem to have it a little bit more together than the men's side. In terms of the changeovers, and they just look a little bit smoother than the men's side possibly. And I think the most interesting thing, I've just checking the results there, is that all the teams that finished ran under 43 seconds. So I think that's a really high quality women's relay field there. I think the Netherlands, disappointed not to see them finish, because they've really done well the last few years, but I think their individual athletes aren't running as quick as they have done in previous years. But the Swiss are right up there now, which is good to see.
Yeah, I recall Christine mentioning that she was going to be late because she was actually coaching, and I see her driving. So, is it okay to talk now or save it a bit later? I want you to be safe. That's most important.
Yeah, I can talk while I'm doing it. Yeah, I can. So I'm all right. So do you want me to comment on that?
Yeah.
Like Laura did.
Well, just comment on your thoughts on the women's 4x1 first.
Like Laura said, I think the first change in the GB team was really risky, and it came off today. But I think they haven't practiced as much as everybody seems to think they have. Not really, considering and that wasn't the team that was meant to have run in the heat. So they were going to change the team for the final. So they kept with the team, because obviously they run the British record, so they wouldn't change that team. But if you look at the Jamaicans, you know, they had a really average team in the heats, and all their big guns came out in the final. So it made a difference, because their foot speed alone got them through. I don't think technically they was probably as efficient as some of the others, but they just got the greatest foot speed, so they can get away with doing poor changeovers, which I think if everybody starts improving in their 100 times, then they won't be able to do that anymore. I mean, you look at the British team, the British men's team, they came second, and really and truly they should have won that. That was theirs. But the Italian guy was his maintenance was better. Nefanel was not running as fast as he usually runs, because he can run 9.99, but he's not in that shape, and he's shown that in the 200 that he's not in the shape that he usually is in. So that's why obviously the Italians came through. But I think with the women's were more. I mean, the American women brought in their top guns in the finals, but you could see in the heats they were just average. Britain came first in their semi-final. So Jamaica and the USA came behind them. But I knew that once the Americans and the Jamaicans brought in their top guns, then we were going to have to fight, and we were going to fight to get the bronze medal. I think the bronze medal was clearly ours, but we would have been in the fight if we were going to get the silver or the gold.
Do you think they stretched the check marks to try and challenge, because they knew the Jamaicans and Americans were going to be quicker than them? So do you think they stretched the check marks deliberately to try and stay with them? Or
I think they did, but just my personal opinion, I think the first leg runner is running 11.3. The outgoing runner is running in 11.1 shape. You can't, if you're going to stretch a check mark, then that person coming in has to have the foot speed to match the person going out. And if you're going to stretch it, I mean, it was very risky. I mean, I'm not saying they're lucky, but they're very fortunate that Imani's got the foresight to slow down, to slightly decelerate, so that she could get the baton from Asha. But I think that was, I'm just personally, that was quite risky, especially as you know, the person coming in hasn't got the foot speed that she knew. That I mean, she's running level 1, but she's only running level 1 once. You know, Imani's running in level 1, so her acceleration is very good. Yeah. So I think for me personally, it was highly risky, and I don't know if they looked at the foot speed going in and if they stretched it just to get the faster time. But I think they should have just, especially the first check mark, they should have just left it the same. The last one they could have done it because Dina will chase her down, and Dina's got good top end speed. But I don't think Asha has the top end speed that you will need to sustain that pace going into the box and out.
Yeah, Frank, you have a comment on that?
Yeah, just a couple of questions really, because obviously back in prehistoric times, it was kind of guesswork. There was a lot of guesswork in how you sorted out your check marks, and on top of that, it was pretty clear because it was such a random business. There's the whole area of handovers. That if you're going to win, you simply found 4 great sprinters. Didn't really matter very much about the handovers at that point, and you were going to win. But now that's a completely different scenario. It really is now very much down to the quality of the changeovers. And I have to say, I believe we saw quite a masterclass with 2 or 3 teams today on getting that dead right. Now, you asked the question, Laura, about would they just extend or whatever? Well, I'm not quite sure in the technical world that we're in today if it's just done with that kind of guesswork or assumption. What I'm asking both of you is, with the technology we've got, it must be pretty scientifically based what the check marks are going to be. How do you measure that, and what are the optimal ones do you think now?
Laura, any more comments on that?
Yeah, so the check marks they would have been working on for hopefully at least 3 training camps throughout the year. And what they're looking for is they're looking for the baton to be exchanged about 25 meters into the box. And they're looking for a certain baton box time as well for the baton through the box. So what they'll do is they'll try out different check marks and adjust the check marks to try and hit those 2 parameters.
But I'm not sure if that's the question, the answer to the question, Laura. I can see that, but that's how it was always done. Everybody has done that for 100 years. But the world that we're in now, for example, if we go back about 15 years, I remember, because France were very, very strong on the 4x1s at that point. They were using things like radar guns and whatever to get optimal speeds so that you would know exactly when they would coincide, the incoming sprinter and the outgoing sprinter. Now, it seemed to me, if they were on top of that 15 years ago, we must surely have moved things on a little bit further. Otherwise, we're right back to 20 years ago.
No, definitely. I know people like using free lap technology, but I think I know Team Canada was using Brouwer. I don't know if Peter Erickson knows, but I know Glenroy Gilbert, and I've attended several of his training camps, and I've seen him use the Brouwer, and so that's one of the tools he uses. Any thoughts? Any thoughts on the relay stuff about Peter Erickson, since you have to lead?
I looked mostly at the Canadian team, and I think that they did a pretty good job, finished 3rd, and I think that the second exchange they had wasn't optimal, that they ran into each other. And maybe the first leg could have been a little bit faster to change their position, but I think overall they did a good job.
Okay. Jim's just come back to Laura and Christine. I come back to what I said a little bit earlier. I thought we saw a masterclass today, particularly with the British teams. I have to say, I thought they were outstanding. But Italy were immaculate. And what I'm saying, that because these changeovers are as fantastic as they are today, I'd like to know how are we doing that? I can't believe it's using methods that we used years ago. Can you give us some advice on that? What do you see that's changed?
I don't
Well,
know.
they have biomechanists. They have biomechanists
That's what I'm after.
who look at the incoming runner, and they look at the outgoing runner, and they look at the velocity that they're achieving, and they do that in their camps, and it's becoming more like that. That's why the girls and the guys are more efficient than they used to be in the past, and it's not guesswork. But I think they had to extend. They obviously know the parameters of the people, but you've got to understand, Frank, that this year, when they did Rio, when they ran in Rio, the girls were running. So Dina was running 11.0, Daryl was running 11.2, Asha was running 11.1, Imani was running around 11.2, 11.1. So that's changed, and they haven't had as much practice as they had in the past this year, obviously because of COVID. But they would have gone through those performers, and they would have done some biomechanical analysis on them in the holding camp. So they do about 2 or 3 practice sessions in the holding camp, and they probably did a couple more here because obviously Dina came out finished in the 100s, so she didn't do the 200s. They had all that time to practice and to hone the skills. So it isn't just guesswork. They are actually, there's a lot of scientific work going into it, a lot of research, and they can give you the data of what each incoming runner has done. So they put Dina on the bend because Dina is the fastest bend runner in the country. There's another girl called Ashley Nelson who was also out there who also runs the bend, but she's not as efficiently as Dina. That's why Dina went on the bend rather than on the straight. Now Dina can run the straight or the bend, but Imani's top end speed is 9. I think they said 9.98 or something. In rolling, so there is a lot of science going into it. But people's actual foot speed has changed this year. So Ash is a lot slower than she was in Rio. So
Are there any papers on this that we could study at some point?
If you ask British Athletics, I don't know if they will tell you actually, but they have got the data. All the data's there. To see what the incoming, outcoming runners are doing. Yeah, they do have that data. They definitely, because they compare it to the year before, and they say this person's running at this speed. This is the velocity that she's coming in. This is the velocity that she's coming out.
Okay.
And then if people aren't,
Actually,
they measure all that, but I'm not sure that they would distribute that information to.
Yeah, I mean, I worked with Steve McGuire when I was in Ireland, and on the relay programs, and we had a relay program. They had a relay program, obviously, and that wasn't something that they were willing to share. I got to see and work with some of that information simply because Steve's Irish, and we were sharing, talking from stuff like that. There is some papers that are out there specifically on some of those things, Coach Frank.
Yeah, thank you.
That I'd be happy to share that aren't, I would say, intellectually propertied around there. I think they're quite interesting about this. And coming back to Italy, it would be interesting to know if they by chance had just good handoffs or it was the systematic approach. I mean, that would always be my one question to Italy. I'll actually find that out through our next coaches meeting in the IAAF. When we have a CECS meeting, there's a couple of Italian guys on there that we talk to, and I'll ask them, hey, was that relay a systematic approach or was that just by chance? And that's always going to be really interesting to know if that was the case, especially with such good handoffs. And then you look at a team like Japan, great handoffs, things happen. Great handoffs, a lot of practice. I know what they do as far as, because I worked in Hong Kong and I worked with China and I worked with Japan on the handoff. They are technically, scientifically down to the minuscule mark, especially with the speed of the track. I guarantee they had that all down, but things happen.
It makes you wonder if you should have like 4 dedicated sprinters, regardless of individual events. Or I think at one point, I believe Team Canada used a pool of 8 people. So you had 2 per leg. So every leg had a dedicated 2 people, and you could be called on anytime, left and right. Who runs based on injury, performance. Peter, any thoughts on how many runners you should have in your camp?
Well, I mean, they used to have 8. I don't know what they have now, but I mean, the standard is fluctuated a bit since 16 when it comes to the depth of them. But the one that can answer this question, Frank, is really Paul Bryce, who used to work with the UK Athletics under Charles van Comeny, and then moved to work with the Dutch team. He has everything down to a science on everything when it comes to relay exchanges. Excellent guy.
Great. Maybe the best idea is to catch hold of Charles and Comedy as soon as he's finished the games and see if we can arrange something. Yeah. Good.
Okay. Any more thoughts on the relays before we move on? No, I think that's it. We have another relay tomorrow. Okay, let's switch gears to the 5,000 meters. And for this, we have a special guest here returning. We have Gunter Lange from Germany, but he's a world leader in endurance events, coaching, and high performance strategic planning. Now he's the Uganda Special Presidential Assistant in Education and Sport. Welcome back, Gunter. I know it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and I know the marathon is now 6 a.m., not 7 a.m. So I appreciate making time for this tonight. So.
Thank you, Jimson. Sorry, my voice is still a little bit damaged from the race.
Yeah. 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 I mean, Joshua, check the guy. I mean, what can we say about him?
Yes, I think you have all noticed that I would not say he was reborn, but at least he and the team learned the lesson from the 10,000 meters. In the 10,000 meters, you had this one moment where Jakob Kiplimo was actually blocking Joshua, and the Ethiopian athlete was quite happy about it. Here I saw for the very first time, and this is a new quality, that there was some kind of tactic implementation, which we discussed beforehand. Remember, I'm not the coach. I mentor the coach, I cooperate with the team, but we had a solid tactic discussion before, but our major concern was, will the athletes implement the tactic, which was not the case in the 10,000 meter, as you have noticed. So I was not surprised that Joshua and Jakob cooperated in controlling the field, trying to make it fast. You have noticed the first 4 athletes were sub 13, and they just missed the best 5,000 meter result in Olympic Games under the continuously bad conditions for distance running. So it was again relatively hot. I not yet have the precise data from World Athletics, but it was hot and humid. I was surprised, not only that, positively surprised that the Ugandans showed teamwork, which was the very first time. I expected personally that the Spanish athlete Cartier would be stronger. I was expecting that he would try to hang in and then at the end would show his well-known ability to kick 300 meter. This was also the reason that Joshua didn't take any risk and started relatively early the kick. So the last round at the bell, he was clearly in front, and I think it paid off. Number one, the pressure for him was reduced after the Perut won the 3,000 meter steeple. So the country was no more waiting for the first gold medal, and it has definitely helped him that he could now show that he would not do the same mistake again. So I'm pretty pleased about that outstanding result.
Okay, anybody have comments on the 5,000? Any distance runners here? Kevin?
What I found statistically is just the amount of, you know, most of these races are you know, whether it be the 1,500, 5,000, or 1 lap sprint, 2 lap sprint. With this race, really, you know, if you look at the times, top 3 from previous Olympic Games were 13, 17, and now you're looking at the top 4 all being under 13. It was an extremely fast race. And if you go down even into the top 16 and stuff, this overall race was much faster, and it'll be interesting to obviously see the 1500s. even and Gunther, you know this, a lot of people, especially in that heat, they're gonna slow it down, they're gonna control the race, and they're gonna just gonna have a burnout of 1 or 2 laps. Well, we're seeing a lot of these races aren't necessarily like that so much, and I find that a lot interesting at this Olympic Games. That even in the prelims, the 1500, the winning, one of the winning times in the prelims was 3:31. I mean, that was Olympic Games record in the prelims. So I just think I find it interesting why the tactics maybe are changing, or the thoughts of why they're, obviously the track is fast, but still that's some unusually fast times overall, especially in the 5,000, that are so much different. Are the tactics changing? Are people not just relying on a 2-lap burnout, especially in the 5,000? I mean, that probably is a question. Gunther, what do you think?
Kevin, it was on purpose from the beginning, from Uganda team, to make this race fast. And we looked at the field beforehand, and actually in total we found the 5,000 meter less competitive than the 10,000 meter field. And again, we expected Katia Mohamed from Spain to be the one to fear, to respect his 300 meter finish. And tactics. We know that Katia has a strong finish, but quite often also he overestimates the ability to sprint until the finish line. So quite often we have a situation that he's pretty fast, he can accelerate fast, but he cannot maintain the pace until the finish line. At the last 80 meters, he is fading. And we didn't want to come to that extent. And you have well noticed, Joshua went from the starting gun to the front to set the pace. Then Jakob came in, took his part, Joshua came back. So it was on purpose. And the main purpose was we didn't want to be kicked out from a 1,500 meter runner. And that's the reason why a fast pace plus a long, fast 600 meters. Yes, the first 4 were under 13, but also consider the environment was really not prone for a fast 5,000 meter. So I give even more respect. This is not a 12:15.8 under normal condition.
Yeah,
this is
exactly.
a 12:58 under high humidity and high heat.
Yeah, and that's why I'm kind of surprised with that heat and with the conditions like that. It's not conservative. It's really a very fast race. So that's good information. Thanks.
Yeah, we got Rita has her hand up. Rita, your comments on the 5,000 tonight.
I think I would like to make a general comment regarding the technical running of as far as I'm concerned, the middle and long distance, how they have improved their running technique. And for me, there is, as an observer, because I try and watch as many as the event as possible, not being a specialist in the middle and long distance, what is apparent for me to see as I watch them run over time is that there is a better usage of the foot and the sprinting action applied to the middle distance runners. In other words, they use better contact and driving better off the track. Their knees are higher, and combining that with their rhythmic form of running, that's why I think a majority of them are running faster. I don't know what Gunter or Kevin has got to say on this, but this is my observation from watching the races.
Christine, I see you have a comment to make. You're driving, so you can't.
Yeah, I know I'm a sprint coach, but Laura does some work with some middle distance runners. I've worked with a middle distance runner in the last year, and from the Kenyans, if you look at when the Kenyans, so back in the 1990s and even before that, if you watch how the Kenyans drilled, and they did sprint drills. I remember when I first went to my first World Championships in Mabashi in the indoors, and I watched the Kenyans warm up, and I said, oh, so what event do they do then? Is it like the 200 or 400? They said no, they're like 3,000, 5,000 meter runners, and I was in shock. And I think what people are starting to realize is if you're more efficient in your running style, this is from the British perspective I'm talking about. If you're more efficient in your running style and you learn the sprinting mechanics, then you learn how to apply force to the ground. I mean, Laura does it. I know that I saw Laura coaching two middle distance peoples at Lee Valley, and I don't know what she thinks, but that's what I think. That's why I think everybody's realizing that, you know, the Kenyans are doing this, so why don't we? And they're being successful in what they're doing, so why can't we do exactly the same? And I think that's what's happening. I think there's a change, and people are realizing that they need to be more efficient.
Yeah, good
Let
point.
let me come to this technical point. I had the privilege in the beginning of my coaching, because I was too young for the distance coaches, to work also 5 years in swimming. And in swimming, at that time already, there was no discussion in the long distance swimming how important the efficiency of swimming would be to improve an endurance performance. So we went to extent that we had biomechanic measurements, and we would valid the technical change by measuring the oxygen uptake being reduced while you are swimming race pace. Now, the coaching community in distance running has been waking up only recently. When you look at their warming up and their drills, you still may find some funny butt kick exercises. So they have been learned to work on better back mechanics, looking at the sprinters, but I agree totally, Rita, that they are working on neuronal variability. For example, this is one of the weak points of Joshua. His ability to change pace is not as good as I would love to see it. But we are working on it. We have classical methods also used by sprint, but we try to be able, there's no technique for middle distance or long distance. There's an efficient pace-related stride, which you described in the details, but the distance runner has to have the ability to switch fast, and this ability to change rhythm and to change also, for example, the active pouring will make the difference. And you see this even in marathon nowadays. That they are able to apply a technique which is functional for the pace they are running. So in neuronal aspects, from running medium pace, which is still in marathon quite high, to full sprinting, this is a new area where distance coaches, learning from sprint coaches, have definitely improved in the recent time. And I can guarantee you that Coach Adi Rüther is working on that. You may have noticed that also his athlete, the 3000 steeple female athlete, is the first one who cleared all the water jumps. I don't like the word water jump, who cleared the water in hurdling. So technique definitely, 20 years later than the swimmers, the distance group has learned that it can help to improve your performance.
Yeah, thanks, Gunter. Yeah, I highly agree with you on multi-speed training. Even our half milers do 3 different types of workouts because of 3 different speeds. Peter Thompson, you had your hand up for quite a while. Was it to Christine's comments or someone else's comments?
Actually, just one comment on what Gunter and Laura and Christine were talking about there is, I think one of the words we haven't used yet is kinetic chain stiffness. And I think a lot of the crucial improvements with middle and long distance runners has come by doing strength and conditioning work, which has improved the overall kinetic chain stiffness, but also improved the ability to learn the skill of adjusting stiffness in the moment while you're racing and running at various speeds, as Jimson says. But no, the reason I put my hand up earlier was an observation. I wanted to see whether Gunter had a similar kind of feeling. You know, we haven't crunched the numbers yet, but it appears that the Ethiopians are not having the presence they usually have, and neither have the Kenyans. And in that men's 5,000, we had the Ethiopians moving to the Ethiopian moving towards the lead towards the end. And in the end, it was the Bahraini Ethiopian who finished higher, but even he was not that high. And whilst Kimeli took the lead mid-race, the Kenyan, he fell back to 4th place. So I don't know, Gunter, do you get a feeling that there's a much greater spread of riches?
I think the reason is very simple. As far as I know, what is the information on the track, neither the Kenyans nor the Ethiopians have done a solid preparation to compete under the conditions that didn't do proper thermoregulation. And now it is anyway too late for others. We can share that the Ugandan team, definitely Joshua Cheptegei, has in staying in high altitude where it is due to the altitude not really warm, he has done regular training to prepare to run in 30 degrees plus and also to compete in high humidity, 80–90% humidity. And we did this very simple. We had a special room, and similar in a sauna, we could control the temperature and humidity, and we exposed them, and we started this after actually 2 years, almost 2 years. And what we gained on knowledge in Doha has helped us. And so the thermoregulation was long time prepared. And I'm sorry for Ethiopians and Kenyans, they have definitely missed that preparation for whatever reasons. This is their decision.
Yeah.
That's what it certainly looked like, Gunter, in the middle of the race when they started kind of suffering with the heat and humidity. What was it, by the way? What was the temperature at race time and the humidity? Do you know?
I have not yet the confirmation from World Athletics, but it was around 30 degrees and 60–70% humidity, which I would not suggest to try to run in that environment. I found it difficult enough to walk around. It was really, really, really bad.
So about 86–88 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So while we're on the same topic on middle distance, long distance, let's switch to the women's 1500. Everyone rooting for Hassan for the triple. I think Kenya had a different agenda. We had Faith Kippigan winning. Gunter, what are your thoughts on the women's 1500?
I was actually not surprised to see Kipyegon running in front, and I was also not surprised she did the Olympic record with 3:53.11. Hassan is paying that she is doing the amount of mileage in kilometers on that hard track and in that environment, and I think she can be happy with her bronze medal. And congratulations to Muir, which did an outstanding national record in 3:50–4:50 in that environment. So if I don't want to be in Hassan's shoes, don't say in the coach's shoes, because I was told that Hassan makes all her decisions herself. Now to decide, will she seriously at the 10,000 meters on that? Because I think that what I saw in that race, she's paying tribute to the outstanding performance she has done already. And I would not go for the 10,000 meters. She should be happy with the two fantastic medals she has won. And you should also think about the health. The track is brutal hard. The track is brutal hard. And I'm happy that also the shorter distance start to suffer, because normally it is ignored what structural load our long distance runners go through. And Hassan has definitely a high load. I spoke with the team who's working on physiotherapy. They have a very difficult job, because the force reduction of this track is definitely borderline or even below. I would love to measure it again. I would love to remeasure it. Is it really the needed necessary 35%? I questioned it, because it is like running on a road, not running on a concrete. But obviously, it doesn't matter that our athletes suffer in this structural environment as long as it gives us fast times in sprints. I know that I'm provoking, I do this on purpose.
Okay, I hope they have water station tables tomorrow, 10,000 meters for women. in lane 4. I don't know if they'll have him, but hope they do, because it's going to be hot tomorrow. And Gunter, I welcome your thoughts tomorrow from the marathon report, because it's happening in like 4 hours time. And yeah, let's see how the weather is in Sapporo.
By the way, Jensen, I fly tomorrow to Sapporo, yeah?
Okay, okay, I thought it was, okay.
So for the marathon man, I will be live there. And for the woman, I will watch from here.
Okay, well, we're looking forward to that. So let's, any more comments on Peter? Peter, you have your hand up, I think. Peter, you're on mute.
Since Gunter is here and also in Tokyo, the observation I've had is whether Sifan hurt herself in that fall in the qualifying round, whether that's affecting her at all. Do you feel there's any response to that?
No, I didn't hear anything about that an injury would have reduced. No, nothing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we're halfway through the program. We still have the 400-meter women. We have the 4x4 heats. We have the javelin throw. We have Anders Borgström online. We'll get his opinion on javelin. And we also have race walk as well, too. So Gunter, I'll get back to you on the race walk. Let's start with the 400-meter women's. Someone made a comment here that, for Jody Williams, we've known her for years from her youth. Her nickname was Money Legs. And it seems like 400 is probably her best event. And, it's unfortunate because she's late in her career, or late in quotes. Christine, maybe your thoughts, since you're not driving a car now, your thoughts on Jody Williams and maybe the race overall. No surprise with Shawnee winning, but yeah, I want to hear more about Jody Williams and see what your thoughts on that.
I think 2 years when she won her Commonwealth and European silver. Jodie's always had the potential. I mean, she did run fours. She did about 2 fours when she was with me. She ran 52 then. I think today was maybe just one step. I think she ran her race differently. So when she ran her 49.97 in the semi-finals, she actually started a lot quicker, but she sustained her pace. But what she did in the finals is she kept on pressing. So the whole way through the race, you haven't seen Jodie die really, but in the final, she did die because she ran other people's races and she didn't run her own race. And I think had she run her own race, she probably, I predict that she ran like 49.5 based upon her 22.66. I think she's got a massive future. I really do. And I think her whole mentality, she now believes in herself. She's happy with who she is as a person. And I think that's really crucial as an athlete. And I think she didn't come here just to make up numbers. She came here to win a medal. That's what she came here for. And you could see in her whole demeanor when she finished each race, she made a comment, she made different comments as she went through the rounds about why she's here and the purpose for being here. And Jodie's used to winning medals. She won a medal in the European indoors earlier on in the season, the bronze medal, and that was her first 400 meter. So I think going forwards, if she can get her 200 meter time down and get her pace judgment a bit better, I think, and learn to start, because what she's been doing is she's been building up through the 400 meters. So maybe coming through in about 37 for the 300 and then moving forwards. I think once she gets that sorted out, I think, I know she's 27, but she's still got a couple more years left in there. She's got another Olympics, Paris. I think Paris will be where she needs to be. She might have gone over the hump, but hopefully by then she will get there. I think it was a really, really, really interesting race. Only one person ran 50.88. And the other person was disqualified. It was a high caliber race. Shawnee running a PB was incredible considering the injury issues that she's had all season. So I was quite shocked that she ran. I knew people predict that there were going to be 3 people running 48, but only Shawnee ran. But I think Paulino, number 2, I think she's one to look for in the future. I think she's very strong, but if somebody gets hold of her technically and make her more efficient in the whole race, I think she's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the next couple of years. And Alison, obviously, Alison's Alison, isn't she? She just knows how to perform on the biggest stage. And I think people are intimidated by her. I was very disappointed, to be fair, the Jamaicans, Stephanie McPherson and McLeod, and Stephanie especially, because Stephanie's won loads of global medals, and I think she personally underperformed in this race. I don't think she got the race plan sorted out at all, because obviously it was kind of like open, because you didn't know what Shawnee was going to do, and Shawnee didn't blast it as she usually does. She actually gradually built the race. She built the race rather than doing what she did in Rio and just going out, or in Doha and going out really hard and then trying to stick with Salwa. I think she ran her own race, and she could run her own race because there's nobody else who could contend with her as far as she was concerned.
Yeah, definitely agree. The 400 meters is a rhythm event. People say it's a sprint, but it's a lot about rhythm. Laura, your thoughts on the women's 400 meters tonight?
Yeah, again, Jodie, I echo Christine's sentiments. I think it's nice to see her finding her feet in an event now. She's had success with Christine when Christine was coaching with the 200s, but certainly this season, there's been a definite change in her persona and her as a person, more than just to her as an athlete. And I think we saw that at European Indoors. She was the team captain for GB. She gave us amazing, probably one of the best captain's speeches that I'd ever heard at a championship. So she's really come into her own, really kind of found herself, and it's really nice to see. And then, yeah, I think Alison Felix just is incredible. And I think she was never going to lose that in the last 50, was she? I think she's been around the block too long to mess that one up. But it was interesting, her being on the outside. I don't know if she would have maybe run slightly differently if she'd have seen everyone inside her. But yeah, I think I really enjoyed watching Alison Felix run that race.
Yeah. Okay, since we're on the sprints, let's talk about the 4x400 meter men's heats or semifinals. All 8 teams ran sub 3 minutes. What impressed me the most was India.
First time.
Yeah, running 3:00.25. I believe it's an area record, Asia record, 3:00 for India. So very happy to see that. Maybe Christine or Laura, you want to comment on that, on the men's 4x4? Anything? I mean, it's a qualifying round, but still, it's pretty exciting.
I'm pretty sure, Jimson, that's the first time we've had people going into the final. So many teams under 3 minutes. No, yeah. Normally you're qualifying at 3:01, 3:02.
Yeah, it was definitely loaded. No, I thought it was interesting. I think USA will win it if they don't mess up. I think they probably can run 2:56 if they really wanted to, but we'll see. I think it depends on the switches, and usually 4x4 is safe exchanges, but I shouldn't say that. Poiter, Hacek, you had your hand up. Can you speak on relay?
Yes. I will say this is actually the fastest history, the qualification. Yeah. The previously one was 3:0.86, which was not qualifying, and now was 2:59. And that is interesting regarding what's happened with the technology and the track and the spikes. And if you're looking the middle times between the runners, man can see where is the data, where the time's coming from. Mm-hmm. I'm looking special the Polish guys who are chasing the old record, 2:58, which I have run many years ago, and now they are believe they can reach it. 2:58, 52, 55 today for the team who ran 2 months ago 3:03. That's the significant, as that's a confirmation for the track is very fast, the spike works, and of course good preparation, because I know that the team have very good acclimatization camp in the Japan. They bring the guys together, and I think so the first time they actually as a team after many years. So it will be interesting tomorrow to see what the time's coming, but I will be not surprised when the world record will be chasing tomorrow.
Most definitely. But then again, you also need depth. You also need 4 or 3 quality people, right? So Rita, you have your hand up. Comments on the relay, 4x4. I mean.
Just some interesting comment regarding India is that after the last Olympics, they obviously have started their planning. And I know that one of our South African middle distance runners, Johan Botha, went over to India, and he's been there for 3 or 4 years. And obviously, I'm not saying that is just his input. But what I'm saying is that they have done some extra input from coaches from outside to obviously uplift them. And one of their biggest problem is, the lack of proper feeding and nutrition. And a lot of the people who come to training hasn't got a good financial or feeding background. In other words, they have to build up and bring it into a certain level. Obviously, COVID didn't help, but I think we can see the benefit of that already at this Olympics.
No, definitely. You got two hands up here. Kevin, you had your physical hand up first, and then we have Michael Bennett.
Stats wise, it was a 301.5. So it is extraordinary. And I was just going to follow up on Peter's comments there. Don't count Poland out for that gold medal.
Yeah.
Don't count Poland out for that gold. Even though I think the U.S. is going to do well, Poland is really running well in their 4x4s and their relays and their exchanges. And again, if you start doing efficient changes, you can take anywhere from 1 second to 1.5 seconds of your time through efficient exchanges through the zone if you do it right. So don't count Poland out, especially their women as well too. Peter knows as well how extraordinary they all are.
Yeah, no, definitely. I was in Birmingham 2018 World Indoors. I remember Poland, trust me. Gunter, your comments on the relay.
I would like to add a little bit information about our friends in India. I had the privilege last year. I conducted the last coaches course in March in India. So 2 days later, COVID hit and India was closed, and I was one of the last flights coming into Uganda. And at that time, we had Galina controlling and coaching the sprints and also overseeing the 400-meter sprints. And we had also a German sprint coach who was at that time the high performance director. So I agree completely with you that India is starting to wake up. And I'm still confident that with the amount of people they have, there will be a force to reckon with. I had a similar situation when I came to China in 1987. You have a giant population, so there's no lack of potential talent. But what is definitely missing in India, I agree. What I saw nutrition-wise can be improved, but it is also a systematic build-up. This is not a country, this is a continent. This is definitely very difficult to control. And as usual, they need external input to improve the quality of their local coaches to be sustainable.
Yeah, with that many people, surely there's good talent. Michael Bennett, you had your hand up? Some comments on the relay.
Yeah, so the relay definitely was very interesting to see. Noah saw Botswana had performed really well, but a real comment, one thing, I lost these are countries that are doing a lot better. One of them being India. If you look back at how Jamaica was back in the 80s and even up to the early 90s, you had most of the athletes that went at a high level from Jamaica worked with the United States for training. And then eventually you had coach education where you had coaches like Glenn Mills and Stephen Francis that got coached and got mentored to learn how to coach at a high performance level. Then they ended up having a large number of athletes that were able to stay in Jamaica and do very well. Similar thing is happening with other countries now, where other countries are actually having their talent that is there perform well with local coaches because they're actually getting trained higher, even to the point where I've actually had opportunity to do some consulting and coaching for other countries, and both in Asia, one in India, Sri Lanka, and Thailand, down in Canada as well too, where they had contacted me and reached out for coaching and consulting. Then even you have some of the junior academies in India actually have listings on Indeed.com looking for coaches to come over to India. So they're doing a lot to actually work to find people with good knowledge base to actually improve their performance, because they do have some talent there that can be developed. They just need the expertise to make it happen. And I think the technology that we have in the track and with the shoes does have some input, but it's not going to make a slow runner all the Olympic world record. Having good shoes may reduce injuries and may improve some of the reactive forces, but it's not going to make a major difference. And then the track, these tracks are designed generally to last 20 to 30 years. I remember I did some research with Medalists, where I actually did the peak analysis looking at the rail cycles for the track, and we had to design the track to last fully for 50 years, but with a half-life of about 25, 30 years. So these tracks are designed to not fail or not to lose a lot of their properties in a 20-year time frame. So this track they have at the Olympics definitely is still good, and it has not lost a lot of rigidity and a lot of the definite effects.
Okay, Michael. Yeah, Michael, you know, we've been here for 6 days straight, and there's 3 common themes: the shoes, the track. I mean, it's just, I think on our Sunday, we're going to reserve half-hour block on that, but no, stay tuned for that. Thanks for your comments. We're up on the hour. We got another half an hour left. I do have 2 more events I want to talk about. I don't want to forget them. And I want to talk about the Javelin. And here we have Anders Borgström. Now, I don't know if you remember when the IAAF, when it was called IAAF, they used to produce these are the biomechanical projects, the 88 one. And so Anders was involved in the 95 one, I believe, or 98 one on the Javelin. So welcome back, Anders. Thank you. I want to ask you your opinion on the women's Javelin tonight. Very exciting. What are your thoughts on the women's Javelin, first of all?
Yes, looking in general terms, I could say that the qualification a couple of days ago was approximately on the same level as the 3 global championships before this. It was required a little bit less than 61 meters. The one qualification outstanding during this 4-year term is London 2017, where it was required over 62 meters. In the finals, the winning result was very, very similar. All these 4 championships, it was between 66 and 67 meters. Requirements were a medal slightly lower, 64.5, and what could be observed, the top 8, first time for a long time under 60 meters, 59.96. We have been talking quite a lot about the trek, and I don't want to go too deep into it. I just say that for the women's javelin throw, I don't think it had a big influence, simply because the girls are running with a slower approach, and it's much less force when you plant your left foot in the last step. The general weather conditions, no big problems for a javelin thrower, absolutely not. 28, 29 degrees and under 80% in humidity. The javelin used, Nemeth dominated 7 out of 8 top 8 through with Nemeth javelins, including all 3 medalists. And of the finalists, 9 or 12 were using Nemeth javelins. Well, concerning the technique of the throwers, I'm not too impressed. I saw a lot of tension. I saw lack of speed in the approach, perhaps depending on that the girls were a little bit hesitating due to what they saw on the men's qualification. They had, especially in the beginning, big problems to hit the point. So you could see angle of attack, angle of yaw, you could see forward pitch, you could see backward pitch on the javelin, reducing the throwing distance. And due to tension, I think, you also could see that the timing in the delivery from left foot planting until release was not on a very, very high level. It was good, but not perfect. Looking at the individuals, I say cheers to both China and Australia. China earning the gold medal, not the first time in a global championship, and the Aussies, 3 among the top 8. very, very good achievement. Early this season, we had two outstanding athletes, Maria Andrzejczuk from Poland and Christine Ohurugu from Germany. But after their excellent May, they suffered a little bit. When I saw Andrzejczuk throw 71.40 in May, it was excellent and excellent timing. It was a beauty to look at those throws. This time it was not on that top level, but nevertheless achieving a silver medal was very, very good from her. Christine Ohurugu, she has been troubled by the technique for a long time, and perhaps she was hesitating due to what her fellow countrymen experienced during the qualification. Perhaps she was a little bit scared to make a full effort in the throwing. That's my general remarks.
Well, my comments is with Poland. Yeah. Piotr, I was just going to call you out here. So Poland has won 8 medals and 5 came from the throws. Now we got, I hope I pronounced your name right, Piotr Hacek. So just for those who don't know, so we know who you are, because I know you were a 4x4 400 meter runner. I know you competed in 3 world championships and a medalist in 3 championships. So welcome, happy to have you here. I run the 400, so I know all my quarter milers. Comments on Poland and the javelin throws and the throws and success in general, if you have any insight on it.
No, I will just say that no many maybe know, but Maria after May, when she throws 71.50, she actually ruptured some muscles into the shoulders, and she was not sure coming to Olympics at the time from May to now. She wasn't sure she will go, because she's still probably made to go to surgery after Olympics with the surgery. Yeah. And actually last 5 years, she got 4 surgery, not only with the shoulder, but she have also the craft cancer. So she was fighting actually last 5 years to go to the track and show what she actually delivered in the Rio, because Rio, she missed the medal by 4 centimeters. And she said actually today after the throwing that during warm-up, she not feeling her own. She wasn't sure. She need to speak with the psychologist before she went to the color room, because she was so feeling with the pressure, and she wasn't full sure she is actually ready to throw what she wants to throw. But this is a great achievement for her, that she actually throw what she throw with this hand, I will say.
Okay, Frank, you had your hand up actually.
No, I'm okay. It's just been answered by Piotr. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Any comments on his comments, Piotr's comments? I think it's great. I think global. Rita, anything on the European scene or what Piotr said? No comments. Okay. No, I think it's exciting. I think it's kind of nice to see a lot of the Europeans and in the relays and a lot of the events. So it's great. Okay, one more event we need to talk about after the javelin is the race walk. Now I know it was early morning, and maybe Gunter, call you back again. Can you comment on the 2 race walks? Now I know just a quick little Canadian blurb. I know Evan Dunphy in Rio, he was en route to a bronze and he got bumped and then ended up coming in 4th. He appealed, got 3rd, back to 4th. So it's kind of nice to see him win a bronze medal today. So that's all I got to say about Canada and the race walk. So Gunter, your comments, maybe start with the 50K race walk first and then the women's 20K race walk after. Gunter, you're on mute. Anything on race walk you want to comment?
Yes, please. So it looks like our friends from Poland cannot only throw and do the 400 meter. They won Tomala won the race. As a German, I have to be pleased, and I'm pleased that the Germans were second. So we had 2 Europeans in front of the Canadians. For me, this event, 50-kilometer race walk, I have been coaching race walkers, is for me an amazing event. But it has 2 sides of the medal. I give race walkers biggest respect. You have to look at world record 332, Olympic record 336, and here we have the medals in 350. And the conditions in Sapporo, there was, we had in the race walk by accident, I met the friends from World Athletics who have a parallel measurement ongoing of the weather conditions in Sapporo and in Tokyo, and it was hotter in Sapporo than in Tokyo. So we had 2 degrees warmer conditions in Sapporo. So the original plan, if I recall it properly, was to provide better conditions in Sapporo than in Tokyo. Obviously seems not to work. But let me give a general remark. All right, let me first talk about the 20K Italy winner.
Yeah.
And our host, Japan, second and third. I had the privilege to meet the Japanese sports minister. He's Japanese also, as a host, also very successful in the medal rankings overall. And we know them, they have the world record in 20K, that they are specialized on this. Looking at race walking in general, I'm personally still surprised that we are not making use of the available technology to measure inside the shoes, is this race walking or is this slow running? So we can actually, we have this since years available control if they follow the rules or if they are losing contact to the ground. And I find it overdue that when we want to keep race walking as a serious sport into our event group, that this technology should be used, knowing that we have a kind, not only aerobic, anaerobic threshold, we have a technology threshold. And I had the privilege to look into this research. In general, the records of our athletes, independent from where they come, are 0.2 to 0.3 meter per second faster than legal race walking. But as you know, visible eye, it should be visible to the eye of the judge. So I am very impressed about the race walking performance, especially under the conditions we have here. But I also think it is overdue that we look into leveling the quality of the technique by using the available measurement of the contact.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Kevin, you had your hand up first before Frank. Kevin, anything on technology on race walking?
Oh yeah, I mean, my comments were having dealt with Rob Heffernan and who's a former gold medalist at the World Championships and Olympic bronze medalist. I'm kind of seeing a changing of the guard through, first of all, in the race, a changing of the guard. You're seeing, Denence, you're seeing people like Toth and a number of guys come through, and it's great to see. Poland's always had a great history of race walking, but to see Hilbert from Germany show up. I mean, Dunphy's been around for a while, but you're kind of seeing a changing of the guard in that 50K, which is kind of good to see some new people kind of showing up. As the race is at 350, typically, races are run around 339. The heat, it was obviously a really guarded race. But as Gunter's saying, they all lift. They're all lifting means, the foot is not on the ground as the other foot is raising. They're all lifting to some degree. And again, I think technology-wise, we can do a lot more to relieve that issue. It's just a matter of can it be implemented not only at the Olympic level, but throughout the race walking community. But I still think it was a great race, 50K was, and I like to see the changing of the guard. And it was great to see Dunphy, again, want to reiterate that after what he went through Rio to come back and win a medal and what he's all been pushed through. So it was actually, I watched all 3 hours and 50 minutes of it. It was actually a really good race.
No, that was good, actually. Yeah, let's we're not done yet. We actually have a few minutes. I want to pass the mic to Giacomo Galetto. about the couple of coaching initiatives here, like IFAC, the GACA, and the Coach Association. So Giacomo, I'll hand it over to you and talk a bit more about the global initiatives going on.
Thanks, Jim. So I will talk about additional information since yesterday I presented the EACA Club on our website. Then I let Frank talking about IFAC and all the rest. Yesterday I show you the EACA Club on the EACA website, but I forgot to mention about a very important thing, which is privacy. You can set all the privacy level, both on your profile information and on your posts. So let me share the screen. Can you give my permission, Jimson?
Yes. Okay, ready.
Okay, perfect. Okay, can you see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Let me log in. So yesterday, a user texted me on the chat asking for this very important aspect of the EACA Club. So when you access the club on the website, you can see on the left sidebar this widget. And you can click on this text. Your profile is 80% complete. And access to your profile settings. Here in the About tab, you can set all the privacy level for your information. So, for example, my gender can be shown, can be public, only for site members, only for friends, or only me, okay? And this is the same thing for all other information. So if you want to be very close on privacy level, so you can set everything on only me, so that no one except you can see this information. About this section, the profile about, we strongly encourage you to complete your profile, at least for the required fields, because we are aiming to create a database of coaches across Europe and the world that may be useful, for example, to other coaches to get in connection, or even for athletes looking for a coach around their area. But again, be very careful in setting your privacy here, okay? Another very important thing, in preferences, you can set some other option about privacy. So these are more global rather than compared with the previous one. So who can see my profile is public or only site member. Who can post on my profile? Site members, friends only me. So be very careful and have a look at all of these options, because we take extremely care on your privacy. We don't share information with anyone else. So it's your responsibility to choose your preferred level of privacy here, okay? In addition, you can create, like in Facebook, I think, I'm not on Facebook actually, but you can create groups. So we are planning to create some standard groups like throws, hurdles, relays, and so on. But again, you can create your groups for any kind of a topic, doesn't matter. And that's it. This is only about your preference, okay? I'm done. If you want to talk about IFAC, Frank, I stop the share.
Okay.
Okay, and the question was on the chat, is this for any country can join? And the answer is yes.
Exactly.
Yes, even though it's the European Athletics
Any country.
Association.
Because
every country is welcome.
We are European Athletics Coaches Association, but we work for Europe. So any contribution coming outside Europe is welcome, warmly welcome.
Including the refugee countries as well. They're welcome too, because they have no association to a country. Okay, Frank, just a few more minutes, close up and talk about IFAC, GACA, Coach Association. On to you, Frank.
Yeah, thanks very much. Thank you, Giacomo. And I guess all of you will appreciate why I'm so proud of having Giacomo on the team, because he does such a fantastic job of creating a completely new world for coaches associations. Anyway, before I get on to IFAC and briefly about GACA, I've always had this idea about race walking. Okay, I figure you could have each walker wired up so that they wear a little hat, and on top of it is an electric light bulb. Okay, and the wiring goes all the way to the soles of the shoes, and the light bulb will stay alight for as long as you have a constant contact. But the moment you break it, the light explodes, and then everybody knows you're disqualified. I mean, I cannot believe in the world of technology we can't come up with some bright idea like this to solve this problem, because it's a wretched one, as you say, Gunter. Everybody lifts, and it makes a nonsense of the whole thing. But on the other hand, these events are seriously tough events. The 50K, if you ever have a chance to go and watch the 50K, you'll be crying for these guys before they finish. It is a monster of an event. And the 20K for women, likewise, a monster of an event. And so congratulations to these guys this morning, outstanding. So let me come to my bit. Can very quickly explain how World Athletics works at the moment. You have a council, and feeding the council are now only four commissions. One is for governance, one is for athletes, one is for competition, and the other one is for development. You'll notice there's no mention of coaching there. And as I said in an earlier meeting, I had a meeting with Seb Coe, and he agreed that I should pull together something called the Global Athletics Coaching Academy. And in his words, it was his dream to have a body from the coaching created from the coaching community that would represent all athletics coaches related matters and would facilitate necessary change. So that is the remit that was given to GACA. Now, GACA, we have an excellent board of strategic board. Two of them are actually listening in today, Richie Mercado and Desiree Vartan from South Africa. We have members from California all the way through to Queensland. So when we have our meetings, it's 1 o'clock UK time, 5 o'clock in the morning in California, 10 o'clock in the evening in Queensland, but at least we can have meetings, and we have these once a month as we begin to plow through the agenda that will deal with all matters to do with coach education, to do with regulation, or if you like, the professionalization of coaching, supporting coaches and representing them. Now, obviously we need a conduit to get from where we are through to World Athletics Council. And that is done through the Development Commission. We have a fantastic relationship with them. One of the vice presidents, Jeff Gardner, is the chair of that. And we meet on a monthly basis to discuss those things that we feel from GACA should be being fed through to the World Athletics Council. But how do we get from where we are to the coaches? Well, that's where the various area athletics coaches associations fit in, and indeed national coaches associations where they exist. It's the area coaches associations who are the community. They create the community. So you'll understand why, looking locally here, you understand why in Europe, Giacomo, Jimson, our colleague Sean Pickering, and I are working flat out to grow the community. Through the membership that we have here, we register people, and we therefore have them creating a database, a coaches database for all coaches in Europe. So obviously, the more we have, the better, because we get a far better picture of who is coaching, who they're coaching, what levels they're at, and what needs they have. Now, can you imagine this is happening in every other area of the world? So their coaches registers, their coaches database is growing. So it's my dream that within the next 2 years, we should be approaching 250,000 coaches registered worldwide through their area coaches association. And this gives us a picture of the true coaching community in the world. It's a big ask, it's a huge task, but the whole point of this, and it's definitely supported by Jeff Gardner, is that coaches associations are created by coaches for coaches. They are independent bodies. I'll emphasize that. They are independent bodies. They are not accountable to European athletics or Oceania athletics. They are independent bodies. That does not mean that we fly off and are irresponsible and we act like trade unions. That's not the way we are. This generation, the generation I'm looking at right now, has got to make up for the errors of the previous generations of coaching in not taking care of coaching worldwide. Coaching is your profession. It's not up to people outside coaching to tell us what our professional standards are, how we regulate our profession, and what professional standards are in coaching. That comes down to coaches themselves. Now, if anybody's interested in contributing to this, if you've got ideas of how we can move forward, if you want to have a part in this, please get in touch, because I promise you, you'll have a job to do. So having said that, what are the kind of things we do? Well, of course, Giacomo has explained much of this. But if we go back to one of the core things we've always had was a European Athletics Coaches Association conference, which we now call IFAC, the International Festival of Athletics Coaching. Our next one this year, correct me if I'm wrong on my dates, Giacomo, is the 5th to the 7th of November. Is that correct? Yep, thank you. 5th to the 7th of November. And we're putting together a pretty powerful program. I'm going to give you some suggestions at the moment, but if you think there are things that we should be more urgently referring to and having input to in your opinion that will advance coaching and the knowledge of coaches, then please let us know, because we are quite happy to create programs around how you think. One of them is going to be called Target 24. Now, one of the benefits to every member, every registered member of European Athletics Coaches Association is that Athletics International has given us the privilege of issuing to you the complete Olympic report and results. Now, you may get them elsewhere, but all I'm saying is you would have this booklet, this in front of you as an electronic version for your reference forever. So when we come to our meeting in November, I don't want us going through the detail of what result happened and what here and there, because that's history by that time. When we meet in November, I'm calling that session Target 24, because the people who are handling the various groups in there will be examining what's it going to take to be a winner in 2024. What standards will there be up there? Because as all of you know, I believe that the art of coaching is not trying to be better than what excellence is today. It's anticipating what excellence will be like tomorrow and preparing for that. How do you plan a journey in life if you don't know where you're going? And so that's what that session is all about. Secondly, we're looking at being performance ready, and we're looking at Carola Becker, one of the top nutritionists in the world, Andrea First, who's looking at mental fitness, and Tim Anstis, who some of you will remember as a doctor with the British team some years ago, looking at well-being first, not just for athletes, but for coaches, because far too often we are so clever at looking after our athletes' well-being, we don't have a look at our own. Next is athlete partnership. We've got a fantastic former athlete from the UK, Hannah England, who's going to be putting together a program for us that's looking at how coaches and athletes can work together more effectively to advance coaching and to advance performance. I'm also leading a session in this that will be called Future Fit Coaching. It's looking to the future of where coaching is going and how we can take it there. I've got another couple of colleagues joining me there. We're also going to look at learning to learn. You might think, well, that's a kind of a crazy thing to put to coaches, Frank. Has anybody ever sat down with you and taught you how to learn? I'm pretty sure in any course that I've gone through in coaching, that's never been touched. And in the world that we're in at the moment, there's so many advances in how we learn and how we can be better as teachers, which is why Vin Walsh, who's one of the top guys in neuroscience, and Doug Lemov. I don't know if any of you have heard of Doug Lemov. He's written a most fantastic book. If you've not read it already, make sure you do. It's called The Coach's Guide to Teaching. It's about football, but I promise you, it's absolutely brilliant. And it's a stark reminder that many coaches have wandered away from having deep knowledge of how to teach. Then we're going to look at Bridge to Excellence. Very often we talk in life about the fact that we've got world-class juniors, but they don't go on to be world-class seniors. The program there is going to be led by a guy called Arne Gulisch from Germany, who is one of the best in the world at getting down to the basics. Kevin Ankrum, you'll know the guy very, very well by this time. Getting down to the basics of how we follow that through. And although I haven't mentioned it to you yet, Kevin, I'm expecting you to be on that show as well. And finally, recovery strategies. We all know in life that you adapt not during the stimulus, but during the recovery. And I think for the most part, we coaches are less knowledgeable about how to recover effectively and efficiently than we are how we load our athletes. And so we're going to look at sleep and diet and bits and pieces in there. And that's it, folks. That's what IFAC is going to look like this year. And it's going to be, for the most part, virtual, but let's pray that COVID comes under control. If we can build a hybrid, it's going to be, the on-site part is going to be close to Venice in a place called Padua. And Giacomo tells me that 3 of Italy's medals have actually come out of the program that's conducted in Padua. So it might be a place to go to get something to rub off on us. That's it. That's all I've got to say. I'd like to thank once again all of you. You've no idea how humbling it is for somebody like myself, who's not a boy anymore, right? I've come through life desperate to help coaching grow and to help coaches out there grow. And how humbling it is to sit here and listen to the real quality of input that you are giving to these sessions. I'm so proud of European Athletics Coaches Association, so proud of you as coaches. And I really enjoy the fact that for the most part, I can call you all friends. I welcome you back again tomorrow and on Sunday. In the meantime, let me pass on to Jimson to finish the story.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Women's marathon in 2.5 hours. But before I do that, Gunter, you have some comments. Gunter?
Okay, you took it out of my mouth. 6 o'clock is the starting point for the women. It has been changed, obviously, as a reaction to the bad weather conditions, but it has also, as Frank will definitely think, the fact that my beauty sleep will be 60 minutes shorter.
Oh, the tragedy, an absolute tragedy. Jimson, I did forget something that I shouldn't have forgotten. Thank you, my friend, for such an outstanding job again tonight. And I'm looking forward to the next 2 days. You've done such a super job this week. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. I am enjoying this as much as everyone else is, I hope. Like I said, to learn from all these coaches, all these events, it's wonderful. But before we close up, okay, as Frank said, 2 more nights of this, tomorrow and Sunday. Tell your friends, please join again tomorrow. I do want to thank everyone, all the panelists who spoke tonight. Gunter Lange, thank you. Laura Turner-Alleyne, Christine Harrison-Bloomfield, Rita Engelbrecht, and Peter Erickson, who had to drop off. Thank you for attending. Hope to see you again tomorrow. There are 4 other people I want to thank as well. Peter Thompson, Anders Bergstrom for the Javelin. Please come back tomorrow for the Javelin final if you can attend it. Thank you. There's Peter or Piotr Hasek for the 400-meter insight. If you can join again tomorrow, talk about the 4x4, that'll be great. And then, of course, Kevin Ankrum, our resident data expert and performance expert. Thank you very much. Probably forgot other people, but I think that's it. We're on the time here. I want to get ready for the women's marathon, have some dinner and watch that. I use Eurosport Discovery Plus, so I get it live. No commentary, but that's okay. You know, we can't always listen to Paula Radcliffe for 2.5 hours, so that's fine too. So appreciate it. Again, share the link. See you tomorrow and bring your questions. And Frank, one last thing for Frank.
Just one last point. On Sunday, you might think, well, what can we talk about? There's only going to be the marathon. But Sunday is going to be an opportunity, I feel, for you to bring to us what you think are the 3 key learning points from your point of view from these games that are going to change coaching going forward. So that's your challenge. Come Sunday, I want a bigger participation from everybody all over the place. Can you come up with, okay, if you can't come up with 3, is there 1? And I'd like us to talk about these coaching points on Sunday. I'd like us to come together as a community and start thinking about how our opinions, how our views, how our lessons can change the future of the sport. Okay?
Great, Frank. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And again, see you all tomorrow night. Looking forward to it.